What's up, guys? It's Matt Jackson and Clay Smith, and we're the Wash Bros. Thanks for tuning in. This is going to be the episode right after 4th of July, and we just wrapped up a crazy June. Both of us kind of have steered into a lot of commercial work recently, and we love to share about our lessons we've learned and what projects we're able to get done and all that jazz. So this will be season 3, episode 16, and we'll just talk about our June recap. So you want to kick this thing off, Clay?
As always, appreciate everybody listening. Thanks for joining in, waiting on this podcast. I know it's been, I think, late April or early May since last time we were on here. Been very busy. As you can see, if you follow me or Matt on Facebook, social media, LinkedIn, wherever, you'll see that why we haven't been on here. So we've done a lot of commercial work. Obviously, we're still keeping our residential flow going because you've got to have that residential flow to keep the cash flow coming in. It's very important for a healthy business. Anyway, so what I have been doing since early May, I had been strategically planning a massive project. Most of you guys know that have maybe followed me. I haven't even really posted much about it on social media, but May the 10th started a long journey for me. We had started planning out a 7-community project. It was 960 something units, and it was 161 buildings. We completed that last month with just 2 trucks and 2 guys. And a lot of you guys probably saying it's impossible, but I did it. And on top of that, we did 50 something houses. I think we did like 53 houses on top of that as well. So from between May the 10th, I knew that in early May when we scheduled these, I knew that I had to strategically plan it out. So I had to be ahead of my schedule. I had to have a free, clear slate before I started these communities. Because if not, I was going to get further backed up. We were going to backlog our schedule and it was going to bottleneck, and we probably was going to miss out on some opportunities to be able to get to customers quicker. So what I did was I don't really recommend it. It was kind of a once in a lifetime thing for me because I knew it was a good opportunity for my business to scale. As far as health wise, I would have strategically planned it a little better, but I had 3 days off since May the 10th until Father's Day. I had Father's Day off. And then, so that was a little over a month, I think.
Crazy.
I don't really remember. It all came together. I didn't take any days off. I had 3 days off in about a month and a half. But we knocked out 7 communities, 161 buildings, and 960 something units. I mean, it was insane. Even one of the communities, we had 23 buildings and 5 spigots.
Yeah,
still knocked it out in 3 days. So each community, you're talking 22 building community, 32 building community, 23 building community, 15 building community, 32 building community, 15 building community, and 22 building community. These were all no more than 3-day projects. And most of them on the bigger ones, like the building and the 33 building communities, they were 2.5 days at most. I don't even think we stayed in a community for 3 days. So I strategically planned this out. We had 2 that were out of not in our area. We had to travel 2 hours to 2 locations, and we rented Airbnbs. We stayed overnight, and we made it all work. So very cool. It was our first 6-figure month in our business, and that was 2 trucks, 2 guys. And we hammered it out, 7 communities. I did 161 buildings, and we did 50 something houses on top of that, like regular, just residential jobs. And that's working 7 days a week, every day that you can. And that was just me resting. Anytime I had a chance, I didn't do anything. I didn't even spend time with my family. Even one weekend, they got so tired of me being gone all the time. I sent them to the water park, sent them up to Tennessee and said, okay, y'all go have a good time because I can't do it right now. Right. But it all paid off. It's July. Here we are, 6-figure month, and it's almost unheard of. There's not many people doing what we just did, and I think that's what's cool about the Wash Bros. I get to share it with everybody, get to share my knowledge, things that I could have done differently. I think it went pretty well planned. I mean, the people that we were working for couldn't believe what we did and how we did it and how strategically planned that I had it. But yeah. It was, like I said, biggest month ever. It's unheard of. I don't know many people doing what we did. And if you are, I'd love to talk to you about some ideas off of you and figure out how we can continually do this kind of work.
Yeah, the crazy part too is like he says is Clay and is two guys. So it's just two trucks and two techs. Most guys run two trucks and do half that revenue. So like the crazy part is the
Not even
logistics.
half.
Yeah, yeah, not even that. And then most guys they'll run one truck with two guys in it. So whenever somebody's like, "Oh, what's the best model? What's the best model to do?" Like I need to have two guys in one truck and one's a helper, and they're doing like $1,500 days residential. It's like Clay just demonstrated that he could bang out all these projects with one other guy who he hasn't been with you for 10 years. Like he's somebody that you pretty much trained up, and he's been working with you this year mainly.
Yeah, so Blaze, he worked with me a little bit last year here and there just to make some extra money. Then he decided that he wanted to, take a full swing at it and do some full time stuff. So I kind of just, believe it or not, we had another townhome. We had a little community that we did earlier in the year, back in February, and it's kind of his biggest, how we got him trained up. It's always cool to take a guy out to a big job like that because there's not much to. I mean, there's so much work to do there and so many things that you can teach on one job that you get all the training that you really need. And then a lot of things you just got to go out and you got to send them out and they got to figure it out. You're going to get those phone calls. You're still going, I still get phone calls that I have to coach through some things because every house is different. There's so many things that you can mess up. There's plants all around. You got to be aware of those. You got to be aware of, like in the South where we live, the rust and the red clay top stuff. You got to be able to explain that to customers. You got to take the gutter cleaning, the gutters. I know in our area we have a bunch of those black stripes. We don't do any brushing. If you want it brushed, it's going to cost a lot more money, and that's honestly not a service I have time for or do. So I know that there's nothing wrong with offering that gutter brightening service if you have time, but our high volume, we're kind of in and out pretty quick. We get the house washed, we get all the organic growth off, all the black, all the green, all the dust, and we're on to the next. If you want that, I don't do it. So
Yeah, and then too, a lot of people they like you mentioned volume, and like we both have a similar model where we like to do volume. A lot of guys are like, oh, I don't do volume. I rather charge X amount per house and just detail everything and be there the entire day. Well, like that's not that scalable of a model. So like you're able to go in the last few years, like Clay and I both have, but like especially Clay, like blowing up this past month, like he's hit a revenue I've never even gotten close to hitting in a month. So that's awesome. And and that just shows you like the blueprint we talk about. You can go back to our first episode like 3 or 4 seasons ago, where it's just like, oh, am I going to make the winter? And then now you're able to do these super impressive like big jobs, logistically like challenging, like over state lines with just you and a helper essentially. But like he's running a truck, so you and a lead tech, and then that just goes to show you like don't get so fixated in like the small stuff. Like if you guys are new and you're like, oh well, I would charge this or I would charge that, like, you're already losing because you're so fixated on like what's not important as opposed to being fixated on like how can you grow your business, how can you build your team, how can you logistically plan something, and then how can you like connect with people who are decision makers and put deals together. So like stuff like this doesn't happen because oh, you just got lucky. Somebody cold called you and you just gave them a price and then this is what happened. Like there's way more that goes into this, whether it be the brand positioning, your reputation in the marketplace, word of mouth, and just like how efficiently you can get through jobs like this. Because like I've stepped into commercial recently too, and like it's a different price game. You got to think about like what's the relationship value, what's the what's the like can you use this stuff for marketing? Can you get in? Is it like a loss leader into an account? Stuff like that. And like I think Clay's demonstrated it perfectly in a job like this where like you get in with a huge company, they say, wow, you like went above and beyond, you've impressed us, you do great work and you're quick, which like doing all these projects in 1 month to a huge company, they're like, wow, we care much about like how efficient you are more so than like your price. So like there's huge value add you've created in this account. They call you back every year, or they know other people and they say, hey, this is the guy to use. We used them on almost 1,000 properties. So it's super cool to say like this could be like a pivotal moment in your business where you can be like, yeah, I'm opening a door to stuff I didn't have access to before because like we proved ourselves on a huge scale.
well, not only that, you get the opportunity to do like one-offs, right? So we
Yeah.
were in a community a couple weeks ago. It was one of the last ones that I did or whatever, it was that one that was out of state. So they said, hey, we got all this other stuff. Can you do it while you're here? Well, I didn't have the time to do it while I was here because I needed to get back home and get some residential stuff done. But they are paying me to drive back up there and knock out that one-off little service that they needed done just because they need it done quickly, right? So they have some corporate guys coming into town, I believe, and they just said, hey, if you could get by here by this date, we'll just send us an invoice and we'll take care of it type thing. So at that point, it's not about really the price anymore. It's kind of like a residential customer. You go and you do a good job. They trust you. They like doing business with you. They don't care about the price most of the time, the second and the third time, or however many other times you take care of them. They trust you. They trust that you'll do a good job and trust that you'll give them a fair price. So same thing with commercial. You go in, you show them what you can do. And I think that what they liked about this big project was the efficiency, how quick I could go out, the game plan that I had when I pulled up. I took control of the customer, the person in charge when I pulled up to the property. I said, hey, we've done many of these. I made them feel confident in me. I took control of it. I said, this is our game plan. This is how we're going to do it. I updated them, told them the day of our game plan. And then as soon as we're done, everybody in that corporate whatever email we started a thread. And at the end of each day, I would let them know my progress. Everybody's on the same page. So nobody's all out in the blue. And these are things that I actually learned before I ever even started doing pressure washing. When you start dealing with a large group of people, you got to make sure they stay the course. They stay on your game plan. They know what's going on. Communication. I've always said communication is key, especially when it comes to business. Business is the most important thing. The process of cleaning a house is not. The process of cleaning a building is not. The process of cleaning a sidewalk is not. And these people were really impressed with how in the loop I kept everybody. The process of how I was doing things. Even boiled down to Blaze, my lead tech, the guy that helped me with all these. He was in the loop, right? So and they loved him. So it's all about the experience. If you go out and you go out and you take 1 month per community, they're probably not going to call you back. If they have a bunch of residents calling in on you because you was an asshole to them or you burnt their plants, then they're probably not going to want to call you back. So there's many, 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 many things when you go to bid these things that you need to think about. You got to have the game plan. Like we printed out these maps. Let's see. I showed Matt one earlier before we went on air here. And I had these maps here, and I don't know if you can see it, but I put a B and a C on these. I just initialed. I came up with a game plan. I just printed these off on Apple Maps. So I just printed those out, and I came up with a game plan. I wrote B's and C's. I said, okay, the B's is going to be Blaze and the C's is going to be Clay. And that's the ones we knocked out. And then, when we got down to 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 left, we just double teamed them. We knocked them out and we completed all of them. And the biggest thing to think about when you're quoting these things is the water source. You got to know about what the water source is. Because if it's going to be a headache, then you're going to have to charge a little more. I mean, that's just the bottom line of it. We had 23 buildings on one property. It was our hardest property, and it took us the longest, and I had 5 water connections. So always make sure that you look at those. And the first thing that I always ask is when I'm getting paid, because I need to know that. Don't feel bad about asking when you're getting paid in commercial work, because you'll be waiting 3 to 4 months if you don't make that a big deal. And fortunately, this big project, I've been paid on most of the communities that I've already completed. So just because I made that a big deal up front, like, okay, we'll do you a good job. Obviously, we have a good reputation, but when are we getting paid? So I know how to price this out.
That's very important. So, and then too, like a professional, a corporation, they operate the same way on cash flow. It's not residential where they're waiting on their paycheck every 2 weeks. Like most of the money is probably already allocated in budget. So they already have the money. And like, if you're professional and you speak like a business owner, it's like, okay, cool. Like we have the agreed upon price, but now like the terms of it, it's like you go to a dealership, the terms can throw a deal out faster than the price. And if the terms are like, we'll pay you in 90 days, it's not favorable to you. But like when you set the precedent early on, hey, look, we're like pretty much paid upon delivery. Like we're paid once the job's completed. The guy just makes a, probably like an administrative change on the internals, and he says, hey, this is a good guy, we want to work with him, let's make it smooth for them. It's not as difficult as like you thinking, oh my gosh, like I don't want to lose this opportunity. They're going to pay me when they're going to pay me. But like by setting that expectation up front, they're like, hey, this is a professional. They do this a lot. This is the expectation with him. So like you almost create that relationship off the bat where it's like respect versus like you're getting taken advantage of because it's like the big company and they're not going to pay you until they want to pay you, and then you're chasing money. So it's like the biggest issue that I've dealt with over the years is getting money. And so by like on the front end, being able to like lock down, hey, what are the terms of the payments? Like, how's this going to happen? What do I need to do to get in the system? And then like be steady following up on that. You take away all the real pain points of big commercial projects like this. Because if you're waiting on money at that amount, that could wreck your business or require you to take out loans or something to like bridge that gap of when you're not getting paid. So I know when Clay was talking to me about this in the beginning, I was like, hopefully like the payments are solid with these guys. And so far they've seen awesome. So everything seemed to be like really on point, but a lot of that's probably due to what you've done with maintaining control of the relationship and like we always discuss in previous episodes, like control the customer. Like if you're just willy
Yeah,
nilly, like, oh yeah, they'll pay me when they'll pay me, they're not going to care, and then you're going to be following up 90 days later.
I've always kept it professional, but I've never been like a yes man. Like I've never done everything a customer asked me to. Like if I have this happen a lot in residential work, can you do $30 cheaper? Hell no. No, I'm not doing $25 cheaper, not doing $10 cheaper, not doing $5 cheaper. You're letting the customer take control when you do that. When you say yes, I will do that. I know that it's $20 or $30, but you're already letting the customer take control. And the things that they can do with that control, I mean, you don't know until they've already hit you upside the head with it. So
Yep.
always stay control. And if $20 or $30 is going to make you, if you're worried about that $400 house wash or whatever, you need to work a little harder. So I don't let the $20 or $30 difference scare me. I have plenty of customers. I'm very confident in my marketing. I'm very confident in the way we do things. We do really good quality work. We take care of our people. And every now and then we do have a hiccup. But when we have those hiccups, we fix it and we make it right.
Yep. And that's the thing. If your brand is, hey, like we're aggressively OCD with what we do, we want to lead the market in being like the best. And that means by like, hey, we care, our employees care, like we're in an empowered environment. We care about making it right with the customer. We're not being weak. Like the customer isn't always right. I hate that notion that people always think, oh, the customers are always right. That's like a Karen move. Like that's not the case whatsoever. It's like you want your business to align with providing a service that helps and benefits the customer. At any point when they cross that line, you push back and say, no, that's not us. That's not what our business is about. That's against our core belief system and all that stuff. So like if you're going into business and you don't have that fundamental boundary set in place where when a customer crosses this line, you say, absolutely not, go find somebody else. They're going to walk on you. They're not going to respect you, and they're going to find less value in you versus if you stand your ground. And that's kind of the like Clay's background in car sales. I remember when I was in car sales, the biggest thing was like get control of the customer. Like if you're new, customers like you're following them around a lot, trying to sell them a car, and then you're like they're little like just like you're just catering to their every move, and then you've lost control. The sales manager or like somebody who's more experienced rep would walk out and they would maintain control and take control of the customer, and they would get that sale. And so that same rule kind of applies in all business and almost in all of life. It's like you don't want to be an asshole, but at the same time, you want to lead the customer because, like, hey, you want to be a leader in this, and that's how you you run a successful business. Because if you're weak and you're always looking over your shoulder and seeing and needing to get affirmation from your customers, your employees, from the market, from anything else, you're not really worth any value. So you're not going to be successful in this. So it kind of all stems from that principle.
Absolutely. The biggest thing, I mean, take control of your, like I say, it's a very important. Those customers tend to, whenever you get out to their job, they want to add, while you're over here, can you spray this chair off? Or while you're over here, can you come over here and spray my screen that I've already pulled off for you? Or I've pulled this rug out for you. Can you go ahead and spray this out while you're over here? Before you know it, you keep on doing all them little things. I mean, you've done wasted an hour on that job when you could have been on to the next stop. And I know a lot of you guys that you may not be in that volume range right now, but between two trucks, I mean, some days we're doing 7, 8 jobs a day. So we got to be on to the next one. Those little things make a difference. And you can't be stuck up doing little extra bullcrap things for $300.
Exactly right. And that's what it's all about, like pre-framing. So like you want to be proactive. Like Clay was saying, that was probably key with the corporate people, where he proactively looped everybody who was a decision maker or like important in an email, and he told them proactively, meaning like without them asking for a follow-up. He's like, hey, this is what, at the end of the day, this is what we've got done, this is what our game plan is. So you over communicate with people. In the corporate setting, that's vital, because I feel like a lot of times in the blue collar world, or like the trade space, everybody's a technician, but people suck at the business. So if you're going above and beyond and communicating, you're doing so much better than most of these people who are not doing anything. And like, if you guys are on the Facebook groups, you see people posting these questions online, and I'm like, have you contacted the customer? Have you spoken directly with the customer, or are you beating around the bush? And like, everybody gets so fragile and emotional nowadays that like you have to have those upfront stern conversations, whether something wrong happened or whether you have to come back because you have mechanical issues, or whether you're doing a great job and you just want to fill them in. Like, make it a system. Like, it's procedural, it's not emotional. Always over communicate, tell them what they're doing. And then like and then like we'll send an email the night before a job, whether it's residential or commercial, where we break down like, this is what you paid for, this is what you're going to get. If we show up and our technician has to do extra work, we're going to charge you and give you a price on site for the extra work. Because like to Clay's point, if we're charging you $300 and it's an in and out, and it from like when we roll up our hoses to when we leave is an hour, and they want us to do detail work for another 25 minutes, that's a whole nother job we could have added to the end of the day. And in our emails, we say, hey, we do volume, like Clay mentioned, and say like we're doing 7 to 8 jobs a day plus, depending on how busy we are. And it's a disservice to the customers behind you for taking more of our time than the time allotted. And then we almost frame it like that. It's like, hey, look, it's not against us. It's about the 5 other customers. Like, do you want the last guy of the day to get less service because you burned out our technician because you're entitled? And like we're trying to like add value and control the conversation from the start. Because if they give us pushback on site, I said, check your email. This was written out to you in the contract.
Yeah, and a lot of people won't read it. You'll have to tell them to go back and read it.
Yeah, be
And I
like,
mean,
check
they're
your
the
email.
you don't ever. That's why I don't really ever sign anything. I at least skim over things just to make sure there's nothing alarming or red flags before I sign something. So, but some people they don't. I don't know why. But anyway, that is one thing. Another thing that I just had thought about while you were speaking, Matt, was about the commercial stuff. The biggest thing that I have noticed that I have struggled with over the years is doing the work and not thinking about it. Just going and doing the work, and then 2 weeks go by, you're like, okay, why haven't I got paid yet? What's going on? And then you finally get a hold of somebody for the work you've done, and they're waiting on your documents.
Yes.
It's your job to get your documents in before you work. I will not work for any commercial anybody until that my documents are approved. I literally threatened this apartment complex that we're doing this coming week and said, hey, if you can't approve my documents, then I'm not coming to do your work until it's approved. So if they're not approved, then we need to reschedule this work until they're approved, because I don't want any problems with getting paid, because that's the most important part. That's why you're there. That's why you're going. That's why you're showing up, is to get paid for the work that, the service that you're doing. So it's not you got to think with these big companies, the person hiring you doesn't care about your paycheck. They're not stroking your check. They're just trying to check something off of their to-do list.
Yep.
They don't care nothing about your check. They don't care nothing about you getting paid. They just know that they got to get a pressure washer out, and it needs to be done because that's what their boss told them to do.
Exactly.
So make the documents are your paycheck. You need to create to look at the documents as your paycheck and make sure that those things are approved and they are smooth before you ever get out there and do the work. And I promise you, it'll make things about 1,000% easier.
Exactly. And Clay's talking about, usually it's a W-9 form, which is a tax form, and then it's a COI, so certificate of insurance. And the certificate of insurance, you got to make sure it's got the adequate workman's comp, adequate liability coverage, umbrella, and it's got to be in the same date range. So sometimes they have a COI, and then say your workman's comp expired in April. They may have an outdated one. I just dealt with this with like City of Greer, where they're like, oh, well, building says you need to send a new COI. I'm like, okay, fine. It expired on their end, and they're like, well, we need to be like the certificate holder on this. I was like, well, you're the certificate holder on it here. I've never had any issues. So like, you got to over communicate with people because billings has to have everything perfect for their accounting. So any little thing will kick it out. And again, like, how much you guys care about getting the work done and the pride you feel about that, you should feel the same pride and a drive of getting paid, because like you can do business all day long, but if you're not getting paid for it, you're just doing a hobby. And like that's the shift with commercial you have to make, to be like over the top on it with the paperwork, making sure you're set up in the system. There's jobs where you're dealing with one guy, they think, okay, cool, like here's my information, here's the job, looks good, sign it. And then you're like, I'm not even set up in their accounting system. So like I'm not even an approved vendor yet. And then you got to do it on the back end. So what Clay's point is, like, make sure you have everything approved prior to the job, and make sure you reach out to like maybe an accounts payable person. Make sure you know more contacts than just the decision maker who's signing you up for the job. Because more times than not, it's just like the project manager or somebody who's like a facility guy, and they don't have any say in the paying. So like always try to find who's the true decision maker, who's the person you got to reach out to, because there's nothing worse than you clean the job, the guy you were dealing with is not talking to you anymore because he doesn't care about it, and then you're having to go through the directory of the company to try to figure out who you need to speak with in order to get paid.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the headaches. So always think about that stuff. Always be proactive, as we were talking about earlier with all these stuff with a commercial, because it could, cash flow is big, man. You do $90,000 worth of work, and it'll catch up to you quick because you got all that overhead, and it can be a mess. So just be on top of things. Make sure you're on top of your documents, your COI, your workers' comp, all that stuff, because you'll need it when it's time to do some commercial stuff.
But yeah, I think that's a great episode we just had here. I've been kind of pivoting a little bit into not Christmas lights. I've been pivoting a little bit more into commercial work, and we can keep this thing going as the summer, about like how we're being proactive about getting work, like how we're setting everything up. That way, like you have a good blend of commercial, and then you have a good blend of residential, because like you don't want to be all eggs in one basket, as we've stated on every podcast so far. Like the cash flow of residentials is clutch versus waiting on money like with commercial.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm just ready for my 8-day vacation coming up after all these days I've worked, ready to go to the Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, and the Bahamas. I cannot wait.
Yep.
So we'll try to get some episodes pre-recorded for that. But if you haven't, make sure you follow me, Clay Smith, on my Facebook page. I'm on all social media platforms. If you are on TikTok, I have a TikTok pressure washing page. It's called The Pressure Wash Guru. You can see some cool stuff there. I have a couple viral videos. We have a couple books Matt will tell you about in a minute. Make sure you follow Matt, the Driveway Guy, which is his business, C3 Wash Pros, which is my business. If you Google us, you can see how legit we are. We're not just some guy that just come across the internet and decided we were going to try to help people or try to teach people or try to charge you for all kind of crap that AI's built. This is all true stuff. You can go back and listen to our first episode and listen all the way to now. You can listen to our whole journey. Matt has over 600 reviews. I have almost 500. I have over 450 something Google reviews. We have been doing this. We have know the ins and outs for the most part. However, we still do learn every day like everybody else. So we just like to toss around our knowledge. Make sure you follow us. Make sure you leave a good review for our podcast if you like listening. If you got some knowledge today, make sure you leave a good review. Leave a comment on Facebook, and share this with somebody else. I'll let Matt close us out.
Yep. And to Clay's point, like we've been doing this for a minute. So, I mean, combined, we probably have like 15 years of experience in this. And I've constantly adding guys to my fleet who also have experience. So like we've got a ton of experience in this. We've done almost everything. We've done stuff from like 250,000 square foot TPO roof washes to us, Clay doing 1,000 townhome communities. So we almost have like every industry covered as far as like this type of work or that type of work. But yeah, like the podcast is a great resource. We also have these books too. So this is one we put out in the winter time, the Wash Bros Blueprint. great if you're been in pressure washing a while, or even if you're new and you just kind of want to have an idea of what's going on. The Wash Bros Blueprint is our story, Clay and I's, and lessons we've learned as we've grown from an owner operator to, as Clay's talking about on this episode, scaling to being able to tackle like 1,000 townhome communities in 1 month. And then if you're brand new and want no pressure washing, this one's the OG. Both of these are available on Amazon. You can get the links on our page, Wash Bros Facebook group, and all that stuff. But yeah, it's great. It's a good business. You kind of can take it anywhere. So like, we started out doing the pressure washing just residential. We've shifted into commercial. We're doing municipal work now, which is fun. So it's cool to see like where you start. You can do anything with it, and then like there's always good people everywhere you go. So join the Wash Bros group on Facebook, connect with us there, and then make sure to subscribe to these podcasts. But I Clay banging out this last month. We got to drop an air horn here, so I got these celebratory air horn for the killer month he just knocked out. That's everything on my end. Hope you guys comment, stay in the group, be active, and like everything, just keep going forward. And our favorite term is like be consistent, because it's boring at this point, and then you bang out almost 6 figures in one job. So crazy down.
6-figure month, baby.
You got it. All right. I'll see you guys, and look forward to catching you on the next one.